Mr. Mayor. Thank you for setting aside some time to speak with us on our show, Parentesi, which is brought to you by Kάλυμνος Times, your local news source. And I'd like to, tell the viewers that we are speaking with Mayor Panagiotis Koulias, the mayor of Tárpon Spриγκς.
Thank you, Eleftheria, for having me so much. It's an honor to be speaking to the Kάλυμνος Times and yourself, and just to speak to Kalymnians as well.
Okay, great. Thanks. So, first of all, I would like to know, is everything okay with the city? Has it recovered after the hurricanes? What's the situation?
Well, right now, I am proud to say that as of tomorrow, Friday, the city will have picked up all of the debris that's sitting in the residents' homes, that's sitting out front of the residents' homes from both the hurricanes. And so we are ahead of schedule by a lot compared to other municipalities and cities in our county and the Tampa Bay area. And so, and the reason for that is our staff who've set up these contracts in place prior to disasters happening. So once they did happen, they could hit the ground running. And so there's other cities in the Tampa Bay area who weren't as prepared as we were, who are still waiting to get contracts in place and are behind in debris pickup and cleanup in their communities. So we've recovered well. Our community's strong and resilient. The sponge docks is back, is open for business. There's about 70 to 80% of the shops are open. And so we just had a seafood festival down at the sponge docks, Stakaikia, and it was very successful. It was 3 days long, and there was a lot of people, and it was our way of opening up to the world, as well as our nation, that Tárpon Spриγκς and the historic sponge docks is open for business.
Okay,
so
you're
we've
back.
recovered. Yes.
Okay, great. So, Mr. Mayor, you're a young man, and I was really interested in finding out what motivated you to get involved with city government. Not many young people do.
It's a multifaceted question, and so has to do with I knew my town. I knew it because I'm born and raised here, and there's a lot of people that I talk to in town, and so I was frustrated with the way things were going with politics. I personally got up, started speaking initially at city meetings because I was frustrated about how I was being treated by certain individuals inside certain departments in our community over a period of time. And so I made it a point to be very vocal at the podium at the city hall meetings. Well, that alone, it generated a lot of traffic, on social media, because finally I said, you know what? I got nothing to lose. If I don't tell people what's on my mind, I'm going to go crazy. And so what I did was I went to the podium and I was very firm. And at the time, the mayor at the time was Chrysostomos Alahouzis. And so I made it a mission that I was going to get my point across. And a lot of people from the community, they started supporting me, and they started saying, hey, Panagiotis, what you're saying is right, but it's still the same old people running government and doing the same old. And so people were encouraging me to run. As I started going more to city meetings, my public speaking got better. I was able to deliver my message in a more clear, efficient way. But that only happened over time when I practiced, in person. And so I believed I was able to make a difference. And slowly but surely, the community got around me. And so when I ran back in 2022, there was a lot of opposition against me at the same time too, because there were people who they were threatened about the movement we had created. And so there was a lot of media bash towards me and about my past growing up as a young man and trying to find some dignity in this town and within myself. And so I knew the town. I knew I could make the points needed. and just make sure that we didn't take this town. What was happening is there was a lot of movement inside government for bigger developments, more people to be packed into the city. And that's not really what the residents wanted. And so I made that as one of the goals to get into office, is change the total population count and not increase and not have, right now we have about 26,000 people. Well, there were plans in about 15 years to have a total population of 39,000 people in Tárpon Spring. And it's a lot. It would really alter the quality of life for our community and the small town that we are. So we as a board have changed those numbers to about 29,000 over the course of about 10 years or so. So our town's still going to stay small without ruining who we are as a community, you know. And so I was very proud to be behind that initiative, because all the residents, their biggest fears is having the city too crowded to get anywhere or move around, you know. And who are the ones pushing it? Are the developers, the ones making the big bucks off the decisions made inside City Hall. And so that was one of my main missions too, as well.
Where were these new residents? Where would they be coming from? Where would
they could come
anywhere?
They could be anywhere. They could just move to town in any way.
Selling the new residences.
Yes. So what was happening is, when a land use change happens, you can, if a certain area, let's say we're singular family built homes, you could possibly go ask for a land use change and turn from single family homes to apartments and build 4 or 5 stories high and impact hundreds of families, as opposed to, you know, 50, 60 families in an area. So the residents didn't really want that. And so I made it a point to go against that type of population change. Another thing was for fair and open government, because it felt like there's a term called a recusal. So when the voting happens on the board, if a person has a vested interest in what's about to be voted on, they have to recuse themselves from the vote, which means they can't vote on it. And so a lot of that was happening for a period of time, and the residents didn't appreciate it, because when you recuse yourself from a vote, yeah, it's legal, but at the same time, you're actually taking a vote away from the people that put you in to make decisions. And so I wanted to fill a certain seat that there were a lot of recusals in as well, and be able to speak for the residents. But one of the main reasons I was motivated for office, and one of my proudest reasons why, was to help the everyday citizens, help the everyday Tarponites. It doesn't matter what part of Tárpon Spring you're from. Me being someone who grew up in the community, people were very comfortable in approaching me and say, hey, I need something done around my house or my street or my business. We're waiting on a permit for my business so we can move forward. And so that's where I take my pride, where I help the everyday people, the business owners, the property owners, as a voice to help expedite their services that the city can provide them.
Okay, so you're saying, like, you are an approachable mayor, like you're accessible.
Yes, I believe I'm one of the most approachable people in city government in Tárpon Springs. Absolutely. My phone's always available. I'm young, I'm energetic, so I try to be as many places as possible, and just try to bring some enthusiasm to people when I show up. It's important, because people, they look at their public officials, and I just want to be able to inspire people, especially a younger generation, because I come from hard times. I have very deep roots in Kálymno, so on both sides of my family. I'm very proud of it. But here in America, we had some tough times, as a family. And so I use that as adversity to help motivate me to show the rest of the community that, hey, if Panagiotis Kουλιάς can run for office and win, and then be in a spot to be a mayor, anybody can. And the truth is, they can do it better than me. I was just an individual who was frustrated with the way things were going. I felt like my back was against the wall. And I don't know about you, Eleftheria, but if something's on your mind and you don't get it out, well, you're gonna go crazy.
That's one of the reasons I started my new site. Yeah, I know what you mean exactly.
So and it's helped to give back to the community and just inspire people. So it's been a blessing. I don't take one day for granted, whether I was a commissioner or currently as a mayor. I live it every day like it's my last, and I truly enjoy every moment of it, considering how I grew up and how where I come from, and how my roots are from Kálymnos, and it's an ultimate blessing and honor.
Okay, well, you're an inspiration. Great, great. Um, I also would like to ask you about the twinning program between Kálymnos and Tárpon Spryng's. How do you plan to reestablish this program between the two cities? In what ways would you like to go about this?
I just want to help Kálymnians. I want to help Kálymnians that, may need more work opportunities, may need another form of education, may even consider, immigration in the future. Any way that I can help, or the city can help to provide help or assistance or work abilities to Kálymnos. Any equipment you may need for maybe the hospital. I know that's been given before by Advent Health, who's helped donate some items, and they're a great organization. But I know I've been coming to the island. My first time coming to the island was 2010 when I graduated college, and I told my parents, I said, listen, you obviously you're not going to take me, so this is going to be my college gift to myself, is I'm going to college. I got to see where I'm from. I got to see where my roots are from. I'd never been to the island until I was 23 years old. I'm 37. And since then, over those 14 years, I've been at the island 7 times. Every other year, I pretty much come. So these last 2 years, I came to Kálymnos both the last 2 years in a row.
Great, great.
And so, but it established. For as we talked about, just to elaborate more on the sister city program, I don't want it to be just where our government comes to Kálymnos, we sign some papers and say we're going to look out for each other, or vice versa. If there's youth that needs work, if there's opportunities to form any work visas for them, let's bring them over. If I'm worried about our sponging industry in the future, because the sponging is our life here in Tárpon Spryng's. If there's spongers over there, and there's any way that we can work together to help bring an opportunity here to, bring the Greek word, not stolizi to chorio, the Greek community, stolizi to chorio, feni to kefi στα καΐκια, και όλα τα πράγματα έτσι, και, my generation τώρα, we've grown up. My family, who moved back in 1971, and a lot of the immigration from the 70s has really formed the community for these last decades. But we see older people passing away, and now become the adult now in the situation. Well, at the same time, we're slowly losing our heritage and culture, and the more people bring to the area to work and exchange ideas, or just provide a better opportunity, it's really great for Tárpon Spryng's and for Kálymnians worldwide.
Okay, great. That's a great idea, and it's you're offering an outlet to the youth of Kálymnos, if because a lot of the youth have been turning to working in the maritime business. So I mean, it's a hard life.
It's a hard life, absolutely. I have a lot of cousins and relatives. They're on the ships all the time. They're traveling to the busiest ports, going over the most dangerous seas. I remember talking to my one cousin, and I mean, you can see, you end up seeing the top of his forehead, and then you see the bottom of his chin, because the waves are so big on the ship that he's on.
It's scary. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and just to elaborate on that, my papu, Yanis Mugros,
Mhm.
um, was a maritime merchant, and he was
Okay.
one of those captains. And the reason why he came to and he immigrated the family back in 1971 was my grandmother, my yaya Calotina Mugros, was she was tired of seeing him gone for so many months at a
Yeah.
time and worried
Yeah.
whether he was going to return or not. So
Yeah.
they finally made that move to come to Tarpon Springs. Initially, it was going to be to Darwin.
Mhm.
But for whatever reasons that the
Yeah.
plans changed, and they immigrated in 1971 and started
Uh-huh.
life here in Tarpon Springs because they knew about the Greek community, and
Uh-huh.
they knew that there was a lot of Kalimeans there in the area, in the town, where they can move and live their life amongst them.
Mhm. Okay, great.
So, you know,
Yeah. So now that you touched into your family, your mother's family, so tell us about your father's side. You said your
my
mother is a
father,
Mugros and
I'll
your
tell
father.
you right now from what I know, my father's side, my father is Stavros Koulias. He
Mm-hmm.
passed away about 2017.
Mm-hmm.
My papu was Mikes Koulias and no Mikis Koulias.
Mm-hmm.
My yaya was a Spano de Veles.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and so, and on my mother's side, from what I know, my papu side's from Delado. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
It was Yanis Mugros, and my great grandfather was Nicolas Mugros, who was
Mm-hmm.
a sponge captain of many sponge boats, and
Mm-hmm.
they were from Galados.
Mm-hmm.
And on my yaya is Galotina Mugros, who she
Mm-hmm.
was a Haukiti. She was a Haukiti, and they were from the Koryo. And so,
Okay, great.
uh, yes. And so that's where my father's side's from Lafasi. He's always been from
Uh-huh.
Lafasi from
Uh-huh.
I've known,
Uh-huh.
and so, and I've heard a lot of history about the Lafasi area
Yeah.
and so many
Yeah.
things that happened, you know what I mean?
Yeah. There's
And
a
so,
shipyard there. Yeah.
but before it was a shipyard, they decided to put
Yeah.
the electric plant over there, and that's when things
Yeah.
switched up a little bit,
Yeah.
with the properties or the
Yeah.
stereotype of the area. But
It
I'm
was
proud to be from
complicated.
there, and I'm proud that my family's from that
Mhm.
area too.
Mhm.
So it's a blessing.
Great, great. So, all right. I don't want to.
And I also wanted to
Yeah.
bring up, and because we're
Yes.
talking about family right now,
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
named after my field Panagiotis Koulias, who's
Okay.
as we talked about is
Yeah.
is Femi's father. And so
Yes.
as a gift, my father said, "Hey, I'm gonna name my second son after you." And so,
Okay.
I take a lot of pride in having a very unique name in the
Mm-hmm.
community.
Yeah.
I was always, and the first day of school, I was always embarrassed, but after that, I was proud because I always
Don't
had a unique
remind me.
name.
Don't
Yeah,
remind me.
right. So,
I mean,
so
nobody could pronounce my name when I
right.
was in the United States. So, I mean, they would pronounce it like it was some kind of disease, Eleftheria, they couldn't say it. So
Me
so I
too.
I made it like I became Ellie there. So it was Ellie. That was it.
Ellie, I like it. I like it. And so, and as we talked
Yeah.
about, something that came back to me with the Sister Cities program,
Yes.
I'm geared and I'm focused towards youth,
Mm-hmm.
40 years old, maybe a little bit older and younger. That's what I
Mm-hmm.
want to focus on with the Sister City
Okay.
program, and
Yeah.
you know, how we can help it and just bring some motivation or inspiration to Kalemians. And that's what I
Yeah.
want to focus on the
That
most.
it's very important because the youth, we have a lot of youth on the
Absolutely.
island. I mean, it's a vibrant island, and there is a problem of unemployment, and we also have problems with addictions here. So
It's
it's
it's everywhere. The addiction problem
yeah,
it's worldwide. It's tough. I grew up around, I saw a lot of addiction. I can't say I
yeah,
didn't. I saw a lot of things that helped shape me to where I am now.
yeah,
And so all I can tell is anybody who's, has a family member, or if they are someone who's addicted, just hang tight. Keep the Lord by your heart,
yeah,
keep keep looking at motivational stuff to remind you
Yes.
that it's just temporarily. It's
Yes.
just a little blimp in your life, and so you can pull forward, you can overcome it, and just to stay strong and determined, because the human body and the human mind are very powerful, and you can
Yeah.
overcome all these things. But you got to try to find the grace of God through it all too, as well, and have some faith through it all, and you will come out of it stronger than ever.
Okay, great. All right. So you said you visit Kalinos frequently. When was the last time you were here?
This
On the
past
island?
summer,
Oh, good.
Calocchiarita, where
Oh, I didn't know. We could have met. I didn't know you were.
Yes. No, it would have been
Okay.
great. I came the last 2 summers for actually weddings,
Mm-hmm.
my relatives' weddings and stuff. And then before that, I came in, there was a 3-year gap. I think it was before COVID that I came again. But I love
Mm-hmm.
Kálymnos. My best, I make sure I stop by my cousin's uh, shop, the coffee shop, Miami Cafe, because on my
Okay.
mother's side, I have the Glinatis, is my mother's
Okay.
sister's kids. And so,
Okay.
I come and I hang out with them. I make sure I start my mornings with them. Then I get on my Mikanaki. I go to any
Okay.
beach I want for the day. And I formed relationships since, 2010 when I first came. There was times that there weren't too many people from America or the States there.
Yeah.
And I would hang out, and I'd form friendships with the Kálymni, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I've had bonds with a lot of Kálymnians, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
youth for these last 15 years, and we've built on them. And so I enjoy the island so much. I pretty much I tear up, and I cry anytime I drive through the island. I make sure before I leave the island, I get on my Mikanaki and I drive around the whole island. If I don't do that, my trip is not complete.
Okay. Great.
Not
Great.
complete.
All
I
right.
enjoy it all, and yeah.
All right. Let's get into perhaps some not so pleasant topics regarding Kalinos. Have you
Mhm.
been upset, by anything that you've seen on the island, something you've heard,
Well,
maybe
I did,
rumors?
that's something that's funny you bring that up, because I think it's important. The one thing that people respect me in my community is I'm straightforward. I'm not here to mislead or give people any, you know, uh, uh, false information. And
Mhm.
so, um, when I was at the island recently this last summer, I kept, there was a few people that I would run into, and they'd mentioned about Tarpon Springs, and I mentioned I was part of the government. Well, uh, it seemed that, we would get these responses that, oh, I heard your city's financially not in good shape, or you're not doing well.
Mm.
And I was like, well, where are you hearing this from? And I'm not gonna lie, it was from former mayor Chris Alahouzis. And so
Oh,
uh, I heard it so much, I heard it so
yeah.
much over this little last trip. Well, I wanted to I wanted to debunk that, because it's not a true
Mhm.
statement. And,
Yes.
and so during the budget meetings that we had when I
Mhm.
came back,
Mhm.
I asked our finance director, I said, Ron, when I was on vacation, I've been hearing these things about our finances and stuff, but can you set the record straight about
Mhm. The
who we are in
situation.
our
Yeah.
community, and how secure we are with our finances? And so he was able to break that down and
Mhm.
explain it. And so that's why I sent
Okay.
that message to the government, and I
Mhm.
try to include as many people as possible, because I'm not going to put up with nonsense, and I'm not going to put up with, any misleading, false information about our community. And the truth is, not I, not this current board, not the past board, not even the past board that Mayor Alahouzis was on. None of them should be getting credits about financing and about the stability of our city. It's the city staff. Those are the real finance people who are
Mhm.
punching numbers and trying to adjust everything to make our budgets look good. But we have not fallen into any financial despair, as was stated by people who were telling me this. And so it got frustrating when I said, I'm not going to put up with that, and I'm going to let them know, because it's all about credibility. Government's all about credibility. And so, you try to say one thing that's not true, well, it's going to come back to bite you as well. So, that's why I'm very firm about that. I respect, former Mayor Alahuzis, but at the same time, I'm not going to let people go around spreading false rumors about the city and the well-being of this community, because we have a good city staff. They work hard for the community, and it's not reflective of what was being said out there when our finances are top-notch.
Okay, great. So it's good that you set the record straight.
Yes, absolutely. And that's what it's about, and so, that's what this whole message is. And I'd like to relay to Kalymnians, that, especially the youth, that your town, your island, your people. If you can somehow just get a little bit of courage to tell it like it is, and speak up for the island, you'd be surprised how many people would come and support you in ways that you've never seen before. And, at first you might have to sound like you're being mean, but you have to do it in a way, but you have to be likable. People have to know that you're doing it to help the well-being
You're
of the
sincere, that you're
island,
sincere.
and you're sincere in what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
But without that, it won't all come together. But when it does, and I'm hoping that can happen in the future for Kálymnos, man, it's a great feeling to give back to the community. I love being in a position where I can help residents out that didn't have a voice before. That makes me feel so great.
Okay, great. So as a closing statement, Mr. Mayor, would you like to say something in Greek to address, maybe the youth, or in general, to say something in Greek to your compatriots who are so proud of you?
Okay. So first, my Greek is somewhat okay. So
it's okay.
Θέλω να πω, σας αγαπάω όλο το νησί το Κάλυμνος, σας σκέφτομαι, θέλω ό,τι μπορούμε σαν ένα κράτος να δουλέψουμε μαζί σαν ένα ομάδα με το καλύμνικο κράτος, να βοηθάμε τα νέα παιδιά, τα νέα άντρες και γυναίκες, ό,τι μπορούμε άμα είναι δουλειές εδώ, άμα μπορεί να στείλουμε, equipment από εκεί, ό,τι να είναι να βοηθάμε το νησί, και να ξέρετε τους Καλύμνης εδώ στο Τάρπον Σπριγκς, σας αγαπάμε, και το ελληνικό, το heritage από το νησί που εμείς ξέρουμε, φέραμε από εδώ, και είμαστε τόσο χαρούμενος που εμείς είμαστε Καλύμνοι, που έχουμε το χωριό που είναι ελληνικό χωριό, και ό,τι να είναι να ξέρετε ότι μπορείτε να αλλάξετε πολλά πράγματα άμα θέλετε, άμα πρέπει να βρεις λίγο courage από μέσα σου, και να ξέρετε ότι δεν θα είναι δύσκολο, άμα το ίδιο ώρα, άμα έχεις το δύναμη και το θάρρος, θα μπορείς να αλλάξεις πράγματα και να σηκωθείτε μαζί, γιατί τα νέα παιδιά είναι πολύ στο νησί. Και άμα μπορούν σαν ένα ομάδα να σηκωθούν μαζί, να μιλάνε, σιγά σιγά θα δείτε ότι μπορείς να κάνεις πολλά και να αλλάξεις πολλά για το νησί και για το κράτος, και να βοηθάτε το κόσμο που μείνουν στο Κάλυμνος, γιατί αυτό είναι. Και άμα ξέρεις ότι είσαι κάποιος που μπορείς να αλλάξεις πράγματα με το καλό, και δεν το κάνεις πώς θα κοιμηθείς τη νύχτα?
Ναι.
So, να βρείτε το δύναμη, γιατί έχετε, εμείς είμαστε Καλύμνοι, είναι από το αίμα μας, από μέσα μας, από τις ρίζες που είμαστε, our character, χαρακτήρα μας, και πώς σκέφτομαι, και Σκέφτομαι όλους σας αγαπάω, η οικογένεια μου, σας αγαπάω όλους. And I look forward να έρχομαι στο καλοκαίρι πάλι στο Κάλυμνο για 2 εβδομάδες, να μιλάω με τους φίλους and everyone, and να περνάμε καλά και τα πιο καλύτερα διακοπές. And I look forward να μπορώ να meet να συναντηθούμε όλους τους Καλύμνους που μπορώ, γιατί αγαπάω σας και εμείς είμαστε μαζί για πάντα.
Ωραία, ωραία. Great. That was great, Mr. Mayor. All right. Okay, so thank you very much for the time that you gave us, and I hope we can have another interview in the future, or maybe before you come next time.
Anytime you want to do an interview, you let me know. It was it was Harika Eleftheria that we had our interview. It was a pleasure, and thank you so much. Okay,
great. Have a nice day.
Right.
Thank you.